The World Touring Car Championship.
Look, how good is that?
Set, and when they go off, they will be racing, but Farfus is trying to pick the pace up a little bit. Good 2x2 formation. Apparently there are no cars behind James Thompson. Oh yes, there are, and they're going. So Farfus on the left-hand side of your picture. Felix Portero nearly getting squeezed into the barriers, looking back from Andy Prio. That was Rob Huff's car. Farfus has the lead. Ivan Muller in second. Tarquini and Rydell third, fourth, with Janae ahead of Rydell. Rydell's in fifth place. They're safely through the first hairpin and climbing now quite steeply up Avenue Napoleon Bonaparte, and that's Coronel is off. James Thompson has already, somebody's already got back into the tail of Alex Zanardi there. Through under the bridge they go at Pont Oscar.
That's a particularly clean first lap so far.
Prio drifting offline, he's looking to the inside. Oh, and around goes Menu. Thompson's in the back of him. That's half the field, so 10 behind. Well, this has happened so often in Formula 3000 races, and it's going to be the safety car waiting for race leader Augusto Farfus, rather, because back it up, everybody needs reversing lights.
Like a national car park.
It is. It is.
That is the problem with this. Somebody just gently tagged Alain, and he's a passenger then. There's absolutely nothing he can do about it. It's
red flag.
It's a red flag.
Red flag. Well,
the only right call, I'd say.
So they're going to have to go again, and I think you're absolutely right. Eduardo Freitas making the choice there to stop it.
I'm sure that Ivan Muller will be wanting a second shot at trying to get into the turn one in the lead, but that was the right call. Far too many cars parked there.
Well, the other thing, of course, is that what you want to do, apart from getting everybody going, is make it as fair as you can, and as you can see here, there are cars all over the place. Well, let's have a look again at the start as the lights went green. It was very even indeed. One BMW drifting out to the pit wall there, nearly got into the barrier, but they all made it round through the first corner and the second, and Augusto Farfus had the lead that he wanted. Of course, I think they're going to have to do it all again now.
They were particularly well behaved up until that point.
Well, here, let's look.
Who it is.
Watch for the red car in the background of James Thompson. That's where the incident happens. Menu has Zanardi behind him. Zanardi, well, did Zanardi get tagged from behind, or did he tag Menu first? Thiago Montero, Tom Corrin.
That should make it easier for Farfus. He just has to get his head down and get on with it now. So probably would.
Now they get the green flag. So that was the first race lap. So this is not the same as before. They are now on lap 2. Ivan Muller in second place, and they're all in line astern. Gabriele Tarquini just ahead of Rob Huff. There is Alain Menu just ahead of James Thompson. So that was a lot safer through the first couple of corners, but we haven't got to where we had our little confiture de trafic earlier on. So let's see if it pays off in terms of safety. Yes. Well, they are a little bit more spread out, aren't they? So a late braking moment here is not necessarily going to have the same disastrous effect.
Nearly again.
Nearly. Well, Thompson got into the back of Alain Menu there, or inside him, and very slow off the corner. Alex Zanardi right behind him.
Alain probably thought it was going to happen all over again. In case of deja vu.
Deja vu all over again, yes, absolutely. Through Foch comes Augusto Farfus. Ivan Muller giving chase. So now lap 3 of what is going to be a 20-lap race now, not 19. Okay, so but yes, the timing screen has not changed. It hasn't counted down from 18 for 2 laps, so that gives us a clue of what's going on, rather belatedly.
Rob Huff's hanging on quite nicely there. He's starting to look a bit stronger.
So the order: Farfus, Ivan Muller, Janae Tarquini, Rob Huff in 5th, Rydell 6th. Then Nicola Larini, the second of the blue cars, ahead of Andy Prio and Jürg Müller, the 2 BMWs. But the race being led by the poleman, Augusto Farfus.
He's just got a couple of lengths on Ivan Muller here. But this is where the Seats are really strong. Up this long climb, second gear, all the way up to 110, 115 miles an hour in 5th gear. And the diesel is very powerful up there.
Little battle in the Independence Trophy shaping up further back down the order. Laurent Cazenave leading, but Stefano D'Aste was angling to get by. We're with the world champion, Andy Prio, right behind the Chevrolet of Nick Larini. And this the battle for 7th and 8th places. And Larini accelerating up around the Parc Beaumont as our race leader gets to the top of the hill at Foch, and from here on it's dropping back down towards the river which runs alongside the start-finish line. And John, this is something we certainly didn't see very much of in the wet. Drivers not just using a little bit, but really fringes of the grass almost as they come across the curbs, and using the pavements as well.
Yeah, it's very spectacular to watch up there. We watched in free practice the other day, and in the wet they don't take as much curb. Obviously it's very slippy, but in the dry they're just monstering the curbs to get any benefit they can possibly get. But Farfus already looks like he's got this race under control.
123.04 for him, 123.78 for Ivan Muller on that lap. So that 1.5 second gap is growing by the yard. Muller and the rest of the Seats have not got much to offer Augusto Farfus. Now the question is, if Farfus's BMW is so quick, are the other BMWs quick too? In which case, really critical for Jörg Muller to get with the programme with Andy Priaulx into the top 8 and start with a chance of winning race 2 for BMW as well. Those two guys would both love to start on pole and win race 2.
Well, Farfus is making the best of this. He's got a very light car. He's 100 kilos lighter than Tarquini there, and because he's won nothing this year, he's got to really take full advantage of this opportunity when the car is light and win a race. And he obviously loves this place, despite having had a monster accident last year.
Well, it dented every panel, including the roof, but amazing, because it bounced around so much, didn't rip the corners off the car too badly. But the boys, when they put it on the plate in the pits, were quite surprised to find that it wasn't like a warped bit of Tupperware that had seen too many chips through the microwave. It was actually quite square, apart from the fact that it looked really ugly. But they pulled an all-nighter. He started from the back of the grid and drove up through the fields to get 8th in race 1, and then from pole 1 race 2.
I'm sure Jaime Puig there of Seat's already thinking we need some of this weight off these cars. They're not as fast as the BMWs, but I think you've got to look at what BMW we're chasing here. It's the lightest one in the field. And he's making hay while the sun shines. And
as you say, Farfus is fighting with a 30-odd point deficit, 33, 36 points, whatever it is, to the points leader. Menu having a little look at the back there. Menu right behind Andy Priaulx and Jörg Muller. And Priaulx, of course, under a 2-race suspended penalty for contact with Augusto Farfus in race 1 at Valencia, after which presumably the stewards had seen enough racing and didn't watch any of the other incidents. But Priaulx feeling this weekend he's got a lot of pressure on him, and so he wants to keep his nose clean. And
he's really got to keep his nose clean this weekend. Yeah. The stewards are watching. He's just got to be really careful and not tag another car, particularly another BMW.
Absolutely. Well, again, you know, he was saying the BMW drivers are fastidious in not knocking each other off, and so it's you know, really, again, slightly beggars belief that he was given a penalty for deliberate contact, because there's never been deliberate contact between the BMW drivers. They just don't do it.
Or the Seat guys, you don't hit your own teammate. Exactly. It's a no-no. It's absolutely, you're in the back of the transporter with a team boss slapping you up and down. That's what happens.
Top Chevrolet is Rob Huff in 5th place at the moment. He's chasing a BMW and 3 Seats. It's Augusto Farfus who leads from Ivan Muller, Jordi Genet and Gabriele Tarquini.
Farfus is putting fastest lap after fastest lap here. He's just got his head down. He's not having to worry about being chased or pounded by somebody from behind. He's just got his head down and let's get on with the job.
And the other thing is, of course, he's got a clear road in front of him. I mean, look at this. This is in the middle of the race. You know, no wonder these guys are lapping a second and a half, nearly 2 seconds a lap slower than Farfus, because they can't get in front of the car that's ahead of them.
No, it's like Friday night at Marble Arch. It's kind of hectic out there, and you really have to rely. Again, you're talking the best touring car drivers in the world. You've got to wait for one to make a mistake, or maybe they've given the tyres too much hard work and there's not quite the grip or traction, and you can capitalise on it then. But this is an extremely narrow place, and you really need the guy in front either to make a wee mistake or be kind to you, and there's no chance of one of them being kind to someone else.
That's for sure. There's no freebies, no gimmies in this game. But you just saw there with the onboard bumper cam with Priaulx, again Larini locking up under braking, and it's that sort of thing that they've got to keep chiseling away at. Chip, be really annoying. Big gap for our race leader, Augusto Farfus, over Ivan Muller. Muller himself pulling away from Janae in third and Tarquini in fourth, half ahead of Rydell and Larini. And then, well, Larini is really the stopper there. Prio could go faster, but he's going to have to try and work his way past Larini to do so.
But I'm not sure he wants to. He's currently lying in 8th place. And if he just works away quietly where he is, and he doesn't let Jörg past him, then he starts on the front row pole position for the second race. And looking at the pace that Farfus has got, clearly the BMW's got the pace here, and he could win the second race from where he's sitting right now. So maybe he doesn't go for that extra slot.
Well, again, you're absolutely right, and the cynic would say, well, just, pull the shades down, get the deck chair out and sit where you are. The problem with that is, of course, it's not a given that he's going to finish in 8th place with Jörg Muller behind him or not. And the other problem is that at the end of the season, again, he's not going to want to be going, if only I had really hammered Larini for an extra point, I would now be champion.
Yeah, but
that's the drama, really.
Jörg here is going to be 8 slots away from Andy, albeit they're nose to tail here. If the race finished like this right now, Andy's on pole, Jörg is then 9th. And he doesn't want that either. He's going to work hard and he's going to chew in the back bumper of that car of Prio's there and try and get past him.
Well, Jörg and Andy have always managed to keep it close and clean, so hopefully there should be no dramas. But at the moment, the real story is Augusto Farfus' pace here, 7.3 seconds ahead of Ivan Muller, and Ivan is the only other man who's getting close to him in terms of lap times in the 23s. Everybody else lapping in the 1 minute 24s is there bottled up behind Janae and Tarquini's heavy car.
James Thompson's running probably 3rd quickest car on the track here. If he could just get a bit of space, then maybe we'd see something out of Tomo.
Well, he's just behind the battle for 8th place. Prio at the moment in 8th, the first of the 2 white BMWs you're looking at there. There's 9th place, Jörg Muller. 10th place, Alain Menu. 11th, James Thompson. And he was always saying from 14th to 8th was going to be tough on the streets here, and he's absolutely right. And hasn't been helped by cars missing from the grid directly behind him instead of a handy one in front of him. So that didn't give him any favours either.
Yeah, you see Jörg is getting really aggressive now, and he's looking to try and get past Andy.
Well, he needs to, because he's got Alain Menu breathing in his exhaust fumes. I mean, Menu's Chevrolet is almost halfway up the gearbox there.
And Alain is stunningly quick on this place on 1 lap. Last year he was blindingly fast, and he's working him over.
Well, you saw Bart Mampai there on the radio chatting away to Andy during the race. Now, it's not often that they have an idle conversation, drivers and engineers, so it'll be all about something. Oh, there's Laurent Cazenave. Now, he is leading the independence category for Vika Sport, so the team will gain from this, as well as Cazenave himself scoring points. And right behind him, Stefano D'Aste. And again, D'Aste is going to take no chances here because he is the leading front runner in the independence category, and he will know that Pierre-Yves Courtals is not going to score. So his worry will be Franz Engsler right behind him, and then Sergio Hernandez, his own teammate, in the 4th of the BMWs here. So the only Seat in the independence category is out of the race. And unfortunately for him, Pierre-Yves Courtals will lose ground once more in the Independence, the Yokohama Independence Trophy, to Stefano D'Aste. Exactly what he didn't want to happen when we were talking to him after morning warm-up.
Engsler's also got to behave himself this weekend because he's on a suspended race ban. So if he touches anyone, then he's going to get 100 lanes from the
well, bearing in mind, of course, that he put his hands up to at least half causing the accident for Ibrahim Okier in qualifying. So you could agree, or you could say, that he has potentially plotted his copybook, and the stewards could have given him a penalty then and there for that.
Yeah, I mean, this is interesting. We're now 11 laps in, and Farfus is nearly taking a second a lap out of Ivan, which is, he's just on it.
Well, now this will be possibly the first race where we see tyre degradation for the heavily laden turbo diesels actually coming into effect. Jörg there pushing Andy through the hairpin, going, come on, come on, come on. I've got Menu in the passenger seat. Would you please get on with it? Let's see if we can't gang up on Larini and draft past him on the straight or something.
we could end up here if it stays like it is, that we now have a 7th race winner.
Absolutely, yes.
7 races, 7 new winners, which is great news, and it proves to some extent that the weight is being evenly distributed, but let's just wait and see.
Tarquini is the real fly in the ointment here for this queue, isn't he? He's the heaviest car on track. He's got 60 odd kilos of success ballast, and he just can't go as quick as he wants. So right behind him, Rob Huff's knocking on the back door, and Huff is getting the hurry up from Rydell and Larini and Prio and on down the order. But the real problem for the BMWs and for the Chevrolets is that when they come down the hill, that turbo diesel whooshing away past the pits is just pulling out 2-3 car lengths on the cars following them. So you can get right up behind them on the twisty stuff, and then they just whoosh away down the straight, and that's got to be really frustrating.
It's very difficult to outbrake them because they just do have so much mid-range torque. They're limited to 4,100 revs. That's their maximum, where the other guys are on 8,500 revs. But it makes no difference because the turbo diesel just got so much grunt, it's gone.
Yeah, look at Tarquini there, just easing his way out of the hairpin and squirting off up the hill, and everybody else gasping for air as they do so. The turbo forcing it into the engine as quickly as it can possibly manage. With Alain Menu on the tail really of this battle for 8th position. Now somebody has just come into the pit lane, so not quite sure who that was, but it's Ibrahim. Okay, so the car that was crashed in qualifying, he's obviously finding it not to his liking, so we've lost the BMW at the back, but well, you can see the difference in lap speeds. Independent leader Laurent Cazenave under pressure from Stefano D'Aste. That's at that 180-degree hairpin. I think you need to cross a few more things around Pau. Crossed fingers might be enough, but get them all crossed. You can't have too much luck on a street circuit, John.
No, you've got to be really careful. This is just at this point in the race, these guys are just trying to work over the bloke in front, make him work his tyres hard. And Jörg is getting really close to the back of Andy here. He desperately wants that 8th place.
Absolutely right, and with it the chance to win race 2 and claim his first win of the season. Jörg Muller hasn't won, Andy Prio hasn't won, Augusto Farfus for that matter hasn't won, and we've only had 6 winners so far this season, so you know everybody hasn't had a go yet, but the way it's shaping up actually looks like everybody is going to have a go at winning races this year.
The body language of Muller's car there just now is he is desperately hard trying to get past Andy. He's going to just keep working on him, but they've got to be careful because Andy doesn't want to tag him either on the way past or something like that, because he has got this suspension hanging over him if he's gets in any trouble this weekend.
Absolutely does. Sergio Hernandez, you saw, picking up 3rd in the independence race from Franz Enxler's BMW. So change there, but still Laurent Cazenave leading, and the whispering turbo diesel Seats now pouring on the power down the hill. From the moment they apex on that little curb in the middle of the road, that little traffic island, it's drilled the throttle to the floor time, and it's just flat to the boards all the way down here until they get into the braking area for corner 2, the tight right-hander, and that is it's a decent long straight. If you can get close there, you've got a chance, but Huff just can't get close to the back of Tarquini despite the extra weight.
But Farfus is, that's Mrs. Farfus there, but Farfus is he's going a second a lap faster than everyone else at the moment. He's got clear track, he's got focus on what's happening in front, whereas Muller's being pounded from behind by Jordi Genet and Tarquini, and Farfus is just playing straight in his hands. He's just got it easy. If you could say driving on a street circuit like this is easy.
Absolutely. Up the hill, Casino on your right hand side, courtesy of Andy Prio's bumper cam, and that's still intact, so he hasn't hit anybody hard with it yet, so that's always a good sign. And Alain Menu's view from 10th place as they come round the park. Tarquini still with this long train of cars behind him, but nobody's waving a blue flag at him to pull over into a lay-by and let them all go by. So he's just doing what he needs to do. And, you know, if he can finish 4th place in both races, that's a good haul of points. Huh? You know, when you're the heaviest car in the field, 2-point scoring outings, that's all got to be grist to the mill, and he'll certainly be happy enough with that. And of course, although he will score more championship points and that will add more weight, he won't necessarily be one of the top 3 point scorers of the weekend, and so he will lose that extra bit of success ballast that the top 3 will be given.
But they do get a certain amount of weight for every point in the championship, so the more points he scores, the more weight he's going to get anyway.
Second place battle in the independents category. Sergio Hernandez going right by teammate Stefano D'Aste. Did he make it around Pontoscar? He did. So you can pass up the hill. It is an overtake. Andrei Romanov, the Engstler BMW driver, is in 5th place in the independents category. And he's in 20th spot on the road. But Augusto Farfus just cantering away here. And Ivan Muller nearly a second ahead of Jordi Genet, and that's enough to take the pressure off him, isn't it? It means that Genet's not going to suddenly appear alongside him anywhere unless Ivan does something silly, and generally speaking, Ivan is not the sort of person that ever does anything silly.
No, he's not, but Ivan is also in front of him in the championship, and I'm quite sure that they've been told, guys, get some points, get these cars home the same shape as they started, and let's work on race 2, see what happens.
Well, there's the other thing, of course. It is race 1 of a double race day, and so you can't take every risk in race 1. Otherwise, the big risk, particularly on the street circuit, is there is no race 2 in which to pick up any more points for you. So
early bath and you're home.
Yeah, taking it easy. As you saw, though, Rob Huff is hardly taking it easy. Got a little bit of an overlap going with Gabriele Tarquini in the twisty stuff, but again, at the end of the straight, he's long gone. There's Eric Nev and Ray Malek on the pit wall. RML, Ray Malek's company, which prepares, builds and races these cars. And Eric Nev is the Chevrolet hands-on man in charge of Chevrolet Racing Europe. And still, Tarquini is hanging on with Huff all over him. And there again, Prio just showing the nose to Larini. But see how much slower he's off the corner as a result, John. He's lost 2 car lengths there just by having a little look. That's
the problem. You compromise yourself slightly on the exit speed. And you just got to be careful, because Alain, these two trip each other up, then Alain's going to capitalise on it, and he'll be through like a shot. Absolutely right. And the one thing you don't want to, it's bad enough losing a place, losing 8th place, that's not bad. That's disastrous. That's really, really bad news indeed. James Thompson's got a nice wee battle going on there with Alex Zanardi, Montero and Cornell all in the train behind him. Sergio Hernandez, absolutely electrifying pace he's showing at the moment. He's lapping last lap 1:25.9, but his fastest race lap 24.6 is as quick as anyone in the top, well, not quite as quick as anyone in the top 10, but going extremely fast, and now putting a lot of pressure on Laurent Cazenave. Oh, and Prio. Now what happened there? That's Rydell or Montero? What's going on here? Let's have a look. It's Thiago Montero, so it wasn't Prio. Panic over Martin. Alex Zanardi staying in front of Thiago Montero. Just, I think, by the skin of his teeth is what was going on there. And again, Montero using the TDI power on the straight to get a little overlap going with Zanardi, but he didn't quite have the track position he needed. And now he's got Tom Coronel, who is the less blue of those 2 yellow Seats, right up his back bumper. Farfus has backed off slightly now. He's got 3 laps to go. He's got a 16-second lead. Not backed off completely, but he's now running the same pace as everyone else. So he can make that pit stop and still come back out in the lead. I mean, it's definitely that sort of an advantage. It's almost unheralded, actually. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty impressive. 17 laps, and he's got a 16-second lead, and he's now just come back to the same pace as them. He's no longer a second a lap faster than everyone else. Now, I told you at the beginning of the race when we heard from Jordi Genet, he is the man who has led most laps so far this season. In one race, Augusto Farfus is going to go right to the top of that table, because it's not a 19-lapper, which would have tied with Jordi Genet. It's a 20-lapper. And in fairness, he also led the other lap that didn't exist in the first part of the race. So he will have led 20 laps by the time he gets to the checkered flag, assuming nothing untoward happens. Ibrahim Okier off the road, but hopefully that should be no problem for anybody. The Turkish driver's car, he's already been into the pits with a problem, and clearly they thought they'd fixed whatever it was that ailed him, but not enough. So for the final lap of the race, when they get to it, his car will be at the side of the track. It won't be moved until the end of the race.
now with Andy Prio still in 8th place. Augusto Farfus leading from Ivan Muller, Jordi Genet 3rd, and then Tarquini at the front of this bunch. Tarquini, Huff, Rydell, Larini, Prio, Muller, Menu. The blue car at the back of it, and then little gap back to James Thompson. Well, Thompson and the N-Technology boys will clearly be doing something else to the car before race 2. As we were talking to him earlier, saying again, every session here has been different, so they've learned something and they've tried something different every time out. And frankly, when it was wet, the car was in the top 4 in times. Now it's dry. They're finding out that what worked in the wet, very obviously, is not working half so well in the dry.
No, they treat every time this car's on track as a practice session for them. But he's just dropped off this bunch in front of him, but he's not putting bad times in.
Oh, mistake by Tarquini. Huff's getting close, but the yellow flags are out here at the hairpin as Augusto Farfus goes through. Tarquini survived by the skin of his teeth, but Huff has got a lap and a half to try and do something. Jörg Muller likewise, a lap and a half to try and somehow inveigle his way or connive his way past Andy Prio, because he's not going to be waved by. He's going to have to con Prio somehow into making a mistake. There's Ibrahim Okier's car on the road up by the casino, but it's safely offline, fortunately for everybody.
Jörg is definitely going to try and get this position he wants, because he is just going to be 8 places back from Prio.
Independent lead battle is a lap and a bit away, and still Laurent Cazenave leading. Sergio Hernandez, though, is all over him still. Stefano D'Aste in 3rd place, but for Cazenave, who is making his World Touring Car Championship debut on the streets of Pau, that is going to be a very good first race result. So Augusto Farfus is already across the line. The rest of them streaming down the hill as they get to start their last lap. And Muller and Genet very close together. 0.3 of a second between them. Genet's going to have a look at Ivan Muller for second if he can. And I wonder whether Muller's tyres are a little overcooked. Be interesting to talk to the Seat boys afterwards. It doesn't look like they've had major performance drop-off, but suddenly, wonder if it was just a mistake by Muller. Genet is right there.
You could see that this is going to be an interesting last lap, because there's so many people want to get past. Jörg Muller wants past Prio, and Huff's in there trying to get past Tarquini, but Rydell's all over the back of him as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, one person who's not going to be passed unless he makes a mistake is Augusto Farfus. 17.5 seconds to the good of Ivan Muller in 2nd place at the line. That's just a stunning performance. And is that Huff past Tarquini? It is. Good job by Rob Huff. He's got up to 4th position. Last lap, didn't see where it happened. Maybe we'll get a replay. It may just be that the heaviest car in the race got away from Tarquini under braking and allowed Huff to go through. But nonetheless, it's a lights to flag performance. Twice he led the race. Once he's won it. 20 laps out front for Augusto Farfus. That is an absolutely crushing victory. Still, though, Ivan Muller, nearly 20 seconds back, gets his points for 2nd place. Doesn't matter how far back you are, 2nd still pays the same number of points. So Augusto Farfus, for all his domination, has barely made any inroad at all into his championship deficit behind the Seats.
I think when you see what Huff had done there, if he'd got past Tarquini earlier on, I think you'd have seen a slightly different result.
I think Huff had the pace to be in 2nd, 3rd on the podium, definitely.
Well, he starts, right in the middle of that top sort of 8 bunch.
Well, there's Augusto's wife looking very happy indeed. And I said last year that the accident at Pau, the big drama, really dropping the team deep in the mire, and then coming back and rewarding their all-nighter with victory at the end of an emotional weekend. That was one of the key things, I think, that really sealed the deal between him and the team. That's when the mechanics start to worship the guy, when you knock yourself out doing something for him, and he
repays you, exactly.
And then there's our independent trophy winner Laurent Cazenave, and then here again he's just been absolutely imperious in race 1, and so a fantastic result. Pau last year, really a big race weekend for him. and Pau again this year has really seen him turn on the goods.
Charlie Lamb at the Schnitzer team will be absolutely delighted because they haven't won a race for a minute or two now. That's their first win of the year, and that puts Farfus, okay, he's still a bit off the pace in terms of the championship, but they're right back in it, and that's the first time that a BMW has won a race this year.
Yes, it is, and our seventh race winner.